thousands of dollars now has trickled down and
Well, we have a policy now that was put in place December 3rd when I took office that 80 hours is the cap on the comp time. If it exceeds that, then there has to be written authorization by a member of the command staff. And then they're required to start taking that time that they've earned by the end of the next pay period. So we've got processes in place now to address. However, when they do take this comp time, that does leave me short, whether it's on the road or an investigator, in some cases without parts of the county being covered. So, that's something that we need to think about as well when we have people take this comp time. Can we still adequately cover the county like we need to?
all right. Any other? Yes, sir.
It has to do with this. This is for the manager and the sheriff. Looking at, across the board, Sheriff, I'm not putting it out there, but how are you handling our people taking leave? I mean, it's hard to believe the position that you all are in. And I know you're dedicated and everything else, but being out there, are you requiring people to take annual leave? I mean, they've got to have a break. I can't believe the type of job you are doing, they're not getting some time.
I don't require them to take annual leave because that is their time that they've earned. However, I do require them by policy to take their comp time and holiday now. Their annual leave is given to them once comp time and holiday has been expended and their balance is zero. Then they can start taking their annual leave. And all we require is a 2-week notice, and as long as we can do it and not leave the shifts short or during a major investigation, then we try to accommodate whenever possible. But it's tough.
All right. Any other questions? County Manager, you got anything?
No, sir. It's unfortunate these things happen mid-year. We wish we could plan on them, but we don't know who's going to leave in July when they leave in January.
All right. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? It is a budget amendment for $54,399. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Sheriff, you got any updates for us? Anything you want to share with us?
No, sir. Everything is going really well. Of course, overdoses is a continual concern. With this COVID outbreak we've got, overdoses have been on the rise. It does require my folks, because now that we go to every overdose and we are working it backwards to try to figure out where the narcotics came from, we're now working a number of those cases, which we refer to as death by distribution, where we're going after the individual that sold them the narcotics that ultimately caused them to overdose or die. It's it's something that we've got to continue to work at hard, and we're utilizing every resource we're going at it. As you probably see on the news and our releases, we get one and 2 more pop up. So it's an ongoing thing, but we're just going to continue the heat, to put the heat on them and make it very uncomfortable for them to operate in this area.
All right. Questions, Commissioner Liner?
Sheriff, where do your people stand at as far as the COVID shots?
I've got a number of them, I think, that still need to get the second shot. I think that's occurring either this week or next week. I don't know. I would say the majority of us so far have gotten them.
Okay.
I can't speak to the exact number because, once again, I did not mandate them to get it. I did let them, but I highly encouraged it.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yeah, to the sheriff here, this is just a comment. A lot of people talking in my community in Hollow that the patrol in Hollow is wonderful. You guys are doing a great job down there, and I also like to see a little patrol in the Adam Creek area.
Yes, sir.
And first as the Hollow community, the patrol is great.
Okay.
So nobody really had no negative about that at all.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Smith?
You spoke to overdoses. Are you referring to people that overdosed and did they die when you are you?
It's when we do a death by distribution case, yes, ma'am.
Sometimes they survive the overdose.
Sometimes they do, and in that case, we go about it as just distribution of narcotics. But when they die, we work it as a death by distribution.
You're
And
having large numbers of people to die?
no, ma'am, not a large number. Obviously, any number's
But any
too
number's too
large.
many,
but,
I know,
yeah. But not a large number, but yes, a large number of overdoses. Of course, our people get there, we administer Narcan and start CPR, and in more cases than not, we are able to bring them back and save their lives. However, having said that, we also see a lot of people abusing this as well.
Well, when you save their lives, do they go to rehab?
I would not be able to accurately
Oh, you
comment
don't
on
know
that.
what
I
happened
think in
after.
some cases we have, because we have referred them.
Mm-hmm.
But I can honestly say the ones that we have gone back for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th time to bring them
Or
back,
the same person?
yes, ma'am, same residents, then they are clearly abusing the process. And we have another set of cases that we're working on those areas as well.
So rehab is not required.
No, ma'am, we can't require them. We give them the pamphlets, we give them the phone numbers, we call crisis intervention, and if they don't want to help themselves, then
Can't do it.
I would ask, is the Dick Center, is there good cooperation now? You getting
yes, sir.
response?
Yeah, there's no questions when we bring them up there. They don't ask any questions. They take them. And I get a lot of good feedback about because it's short term, about how they are able to put them in the proper place, get them where they need to be for that second phase.
Good. Any other questions? Manager, you got anything?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Board, let's take a 5-10 minute recess and we'll come back. Come back to order, Board. Thank you for allowing us to have a few minutes. At this time, next on our agenda is Planning Department, a request for addition to state-maintained secondary road system. Mr. Don Bumgarner, good morning, sir.
Good morning. We're here this morning to request the board to approve Nice Drive in the Green Trees subdivision, which is approximately 617 linear feet of paved roadway in the subdivision, to be turned over to the state of North Carolina for maintenance. The resolution, once passed, will be forwarded to NCDOT for their final consideration and acceptance of the road into the state maintenance system. We're asking the board this morning to consider approval of the standard SR2 road addition resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just comment that, Don, I went and looked at this when I got the call from the resident that said, hey, we need the state to do something with our road. And we found out it had never been turned over.
Right, correct.
10 years old, or approximately 10 years old. It needed some repairs. Did they get that done before we turn this over? How does that work, just so I understand?
The Department of Transportation actually requires, and this has changed, in the last 30 years or so, it's changed from time to time, but basically they require a resolution from the board before they will go out and spend the time to look at the road to say these things need to be corrected in order for the road to be added. So that's the current policy that the DOT has. So to my knowledge, those repairs have not been made because the resident or the developer does not know what needs to be done in order to get the road up to those standards.
Yeah, there is a large pothole right in the middle of the road that needs to get fixed before I think the state's going to take it. But that's the process. First, we've got to request it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, the motion and a second is to add Nice Drive to the road addition. And you have the resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next would be Social Services, Mr. Jeffrey Merritt, to discuss the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. On the January 4th meeting, you asked me to bring back some more information about this program that's currently running either through the end of March or until funds are exhausted, so I've done that now. So you'll see the first slide. Just to start off, just as a reminder, next slide, please, the initial allocation. That's what we're initially allocated. We normally receive funds from Energy Block Grant for our two energy programs, Low Income Energy Assistance Program and Crisis Intervention Program. So that was what our initial allocation was. Next slide, please. In January 4th, this is the amount that was added through the pandemic LEAP benefits that was passed through the state COVID relief funding bill. Next slide, please. And so there you'll see what our total allocation for Craven County is, a little under $600,000. Next slide, please. So as you remember, we discussed in January something that was done differently this December versus past Decembers. December is a special month in the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program. You had to have a household member age 60 or older, or you have to have someone receiving services through the Division of Aging and Adult Services, which receive a list of those individuals. And with COVID, there was changes made at the state to where they went back and looked at 2019 for individuals who had received those benefits, and they were able to determine would still be eligible this upcoming December, and they went ahead and automatically deemed them eligible. They gave us remember I told you we had a report that we worked to make sure all the information was the same. So I want to bring you those two numbers. You can actually see the differences there. We had 157 households, additional households in 2020 versus 2019. We really believe that was due to the outreach in regards to that online process to where they went ahead and pre-approved those individuals. Now, you're going to have some households who didn't have a 6-year-old living in it in 2019 versus 2020, so some of those numbers could be factors because of the increase as well. But that's about a 47.8% increase between 2020 and 2019 versus the number of households we served in December, which is intended to reach those households with individuals who were above the age of 60 and ensure they have a proper heat source. Next slide, please. And just some spending related to that. So you will see, of course, with the household increase, we saw a spending increase, a $72,800 difference between those 2 years. That's about a 75% increase from 2019 versus 2020 in the amount of funds that were distributed in the month of December. Next slide, please. So we want to go over the number of households we served last fiscal year. We gave you the total there, a little under 1,300. Of course, it's an eligibility-based program, so everyone is not automatically approved for it. They have to meet eligibility requirements, but you'll see a vast majority of individuals were, probably about 12 or 13% there that were denied. So a large number of households were approved for that benefit, that $300, $400, $500 benefit based upon their heating source and the number and your income and the number of individuals living in your home. I do have some updated information through February 10th that I wasn't able to go on the slide if you want to write it down, but trying to let you know what we're on pace for through last week, and those are the latest numbers. The total that we've served now is 894. We have approved 761. 130 have been denied, and 3 have withdrawn their applications, and anyone can withdraw if they want to, so it's very rare. But and typically, January is more of our heavier months where we see a large number of applications that come in, and that's due to, after that initial December, that's when the program opens up for all households. Just a little bit on what we spent last fiscal year in 1920. Now, you're going to see there's a penny here and there's not a zero on the end. And you're probably saying, well, why did that happen? Well, and when you're given $300, $400, $500 benefits. Well, last year the state took what was left over in that energy block grant and they gave very small incremental amounts. I think the largest was like $17 and some cent to put on their the vendors. So that's why you see that cent there. And they may do that again this year. So they went through and found all those individuals that have received benefits and redistributed the funds. And next slide, please. Our last one. This is actually through the 3rd. By the time we had to send the slide out, that was the number. I had the latest number through last week, through Friday, which was $332,300. So there's still $273 some odd thousand out there that is available in the program. So we still have funds available. And if individuals are interested in applying, they can call our office. We have applications in the lobby. We'll mail them a copy. They can go through ePass, the online portal. The ePass can be found on the Craven County website under the Department of Social Services page. So this program, like I said, will continue to operate either until the funds are exhausted or until the last business day in March, which I don't have that date right in front of me. But
All right, questions from the board?
I'd just like to say thanks.
Yes.
no problem.
Yes, Jeffrey, we appreciate you giving us this updated information and for all you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Economic Development, Mr. Jeff Wood. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Christian. Good morning. Again, Jeff Wood with Economic Development, coming before the board today, asking for authorization. This is to complete the expansion of the water and sewer project in the Craven County Industrial Park. We had a request for proposal that went out. We had 7 responses. The low bidder was Jimco Construction at a proposal of $352,550.90. That has been reviewed by our engineers, Withers, as well as the office and finance. and this is a continuation of the project that we've brought in front of the board several times. This is being funded through an Infrastructure Development Fund grant, as well as a Duke Energy grant.
Okay, questions?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy. All right. Next is appointments. You see there the pending appointments. Do we have any nominations for any of those this morning? Hearing none, we have under current, we had first the Emergency Medical Service Advisory Council. You have a letter in your agenda packet asking that Miss Sarah Scott be replaced by Mr. Chuck Strickland. And if you will notice, Mr. Strickland said this would maybe for the interim. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, he will be accepted by acclamation. Next is your fire tax commissioners. We'll take them by the townships first. We have Mr. Martin Hernandez from townships.
Make a motion.
All right, we have a motion. Are there any others? Nominations. Here none. He will be accepted by acclamation. And then you have from number 9 township, Mr. Howard Carrier, Mrs. Marjorie Gonzalez, and Mr. Chris Rechter. And I talked to their leadership this weekend. They would ask that all be reappointed, and I would ask the board to do that if you would. Any other nominations? Here none, they will be accepted also by acclamation. All right. Next is the Fireman's Relief Fund Board of Trustees. The first one there is from Township 2, Little Swift Creek, Mr. Wesley Griffin. I would ask on behalf of Commissioner Mark and myself that he be reappointed. Are there any other nominations? Hear none, he is accepted by acclamation. And next would be Mr. Roger Wedden from Township 9, which is in my district, and I would also ask the board if you would to reappoint him. Are there any other nominations? Hear none, he will be accepted by acclamation also. You see your upcoming appointment that we have for March, very important one there, Highway 70 Corridor Committee, Clean Sweep Committee. You have a list of fire tax commissioners. I would ask if they're in your district to make sure if you would please reach out to them. And then on the second page behind that, you have your Fireman's Relief Fund Board of Trustees, and there are a number of those individuals there scattered about amongst the county also. Any other appointments for consideration this morning? Hearing none, next will be the county attorney's report. Mr. Eric Grady. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I have 2 items for your consideration this morning. Both relate to the sale of county-owned real estate acquired through the tax foreclosure process. Both parcels are in the same stage, which is the initial offer. If the board approves the offers this morning, we will put the offer out for the upset bid process, and you all will see it again. The first offer is on parcel number 7101021. This property actually does not have a street address. It's landlocked. And we've got an offer of $1,000 for this property. The past due taxes and cost of foreclosure were $2,629.05. The tax value of the property is $1,620. It's my recommendation that the board approve this offer and authorize us to proceed with the upset bid process.
All right, Commissioner Booker, are you okay? It's in your district. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right.
The second parcel has a number of 3058097. This also does not have a street or road address, but it does have some access on a road. The offer amount is $1,700, and the taxes and the cost of the foreclosure were originally $3,204.35, and the tax value is $3,810. As with the other parcel, I recommend that the board approve the offer and authorize the upset bid process.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. I would just state, this is in the Dover area, right outside of Dover there, and I checked it out also, so. All right, hearing no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. County manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you this morning. I'll be brief because we've had a rather long meeting. As I mentioned at your last meeting, we are in the middle of our budget process now from a staff level. We've kicked that off. Departments are working on crunching their numbers, as you saw, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in a minute, the audit report we received this morning. Still some uncertainty, but, last year wasn't as bad as we thought. So going in, we're going to have an open mind. As you can see how the money's spent in the county, there's lots of areas. We spend a lot of money. We have very little control. So as we go in the budget process, again, we're excited to be there, but we're still uncertain exactly how we're going to be. I did want to just say again, for the record, you got your audit report this morning. I want to thank Craig and his wonderful finance team downstairs. It's a team effort. It takes every single person in that department a significant amount of time, along with the contractor who you heard with, along with other departments who have to provide data. I think getting that type of report this morning is meaningful. And I think we're known in Craven County over the years for having a great finance department. I think Craig's held that tradition forward, so just say that for him. This week, I have a Dick Center meeting. It's our quarterly meeting. I was talking with Commissioner Liner. He's your new appointee from a commissioner on that board. I did receive the preliminary data. To Ms. Smith's point about, I walked out for a second, walked in, heard you talking about overdoses and things. We did see 16 folks use that facility in the month of December. Our data's a little bit behind. That's one of the higher months we've had since we've been a member. More comparable to being the second versus the third of the partners there from the number of folks that use it. As the sheriff indicated, there were several jail diversions, meaning instead of detoxing in a jail cell, these folks are able to detox in an environment that's suitable. We did have some rather surprising news right at the end of the year where the long-term director of the Dick Center is being promoted within their organization to a Raleigh office, and we'll be getting a new director here in Onslow County for our local facility. I guess the light at the end of the tunnel on that is that she'll now, the lady who's leaving, will still oversee the facility just in a different capacity at a higher level within RI. But I just want to say for the record, Grace has done a fantastic job over the last 2 years, starting from scratch, building a team, and getting that facility where folks are able to use it. And many times, Ms. Smith saved their lives. That's what it's all about. Also attended a C1A meeting last week. A lot of good things going, even during a pandemic. Economic development hasn't stopped. As you can see, you're seeing Jeff Wood quite often here. He's out there really beating the bushes. There's a lot of good projects going on, and I'm pleased to see that we're able to use some grant money from the state to further the sewer situation, which gives us more capacity to develop more land, which is a good thing. And lastly, every year I bring up at some point my weekly memo. Each of you get this. It's bi-weekly mostly now with the pandemic, but if you want a heartbeat of Craven County and what we're up to, this report has some great data inside of it. And I just looked at this month as I was sitting over there, and from where we were, if you go back and find this report from 2 years ago, where we were with our veterans program, where we are now, number of clients we're seeing, number of money that's coming back from the federal government to our veterans. Our inspections report, I think, is fascinating. You can see where we were kind of starting to tick up a little bit. The economy was getting better. Hurricane Florence happened. Everything went crazy. We did the most inspections we've ever done, and we're now getting back to what I think is a normal growth level in Craven County. But this is a tool, just so you kind of understand how we use it, we look at those inspections and determine how many staff we need. So this provides data, and then when we come to you, you'll see in your budget supplement, they use the same data just to find things that they do within their department. I just encourage you to take a look. If you want to see the pulse of our county, that's certainly where it is. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's all I have, unless you have things for me.
Questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners' report. We try to alternate with this. Commissioner McCabe.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't have anything at this present moment.
All right, Commissioner Smith.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Liner.
Sir, I have nothing.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Only one, Mr. Chair. The ACT meetings are going to move to an every other month meeting schedule moving forward. So rather than meeting once every 4 weeks, essentially once every 8 weeks.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Booker.
There's been a lot of concern in our community about Sudden Link and the performance of that organization. The internet quality has been difficult, to say the least, I should say. It's been their performance has not been good. Saturday morning, the chairman and I attended a meeting with our Congressman Greg Murphy, who has reached out to Sudden Link and told them in no uncertain terms, so he said, and I believe him, that they better get their act together. And we've had a meeting here with the county manager and chairman and myself and assistant county manager with Sudden Link by phone, by Zoom, and they told us that things were going to start happening in our city, at least. And I can say that there has been activity, although I don't think we've had any improvement yet, but they've had crews in here working. And of course, Congressman Murphy pretty much said that he is going to keep their feet to the fire. One thing we were a little bit disappointed, and I'm going to let you pick it up from there, there really wasn't much talk about the rural areas. It was pretty much about existing service and improving it. There was some discussion about fiber and bringing fiber into the cities, but didn't really address the rural. At least I had to leave early, so maybe you can pick it up from there.
Do you got anything else you want to?
No.
Go on? Okay. Yes, as we all know, the fiber, how high it is, costly it is to get across the county is, I don't think you're going to find any provider that is desires to do that. So I think with some of the discussions that we have had as staff, doing the broadband and some of the ideas that some of the federal grants that are possibly coming down, I think that's going to be our avenue to go and try to provide internet to rural Craven County. But I think out of these discussions, there was two factors in there: regulatory, and that's something that I think our state legislators are going to try to work on. There's some, I think, current laws that are in place that prohibit governmental bodies from doing some of the things that pushing forward this kind of infrastructure. And, I think everybody kind of said at the meeting Monday, as far as the municipality side, is we provide water, we provide electricity. This is a necessity of life, too. And, we need to start concentrating on what we can do as municipalities to try to give this access. And we feel the same way as the county. We're just in a little bit different situation, the affordability. We're stretched over 700 some square miles versus, the municipalities here are, I don't know what you would say, how many miles they are in
20 square miles.
Yes, in distance. So, but I think I was very impressed by former Commissioner Tyson, our new state representative. He championed the idea of what Vice Chair was talking about, is how do we get this access to internet to all citizens. You know, I mean, it's good to talk about it in certain areas, but we need to concentrate on all of our areas. And I'll just give you just a little bit of update. I think all of you know that the General Assembly and the governor, there was 37, 39 million, somewhere, close to $40 million that was supposed to go out to help governmental bodies to provide internet service through contracts and so forth. We were not a recipient of that here in Craven County. We did do some footwork on that, staff did, in trying to help out some of our rural areas. Y'all were brought up to speed on that some months ago. But I think I was told that there was about 18 counties that had received that funding. It was thought that all of it went to Tier 1 counties, but that's not the case. Some of it did go to Tier 2 counties. We are a Tier 2 county, but for some reason or another, we just don't seem like we qualify for a lot of these grants that are coming about. It's not because we're not trying, though. So, anything else you want to add, County Manager, you got that?
Yeah, the last thing I'll mention is that they had a guy there from a company called Google Fiber, who is, it's part of, as you can imagine, part of Google, and they're headquartered in North Carolina, Google Fiber. And they're interested in coming in and partnering with cities and counties, I guess, to putting fiber in. This guy he used to be with Suddenlink, and he made an interesting point. He said, coax is what we have now, and it's obsolete. He said, basically, it's at the end of its life. We've got to get fiber in place in the near future, because that's what's going to make everything go. And I think we probably knew that, but to hear it from somebody who's in the industry, I thought was interesting. So that was the only other point I wanted to make.
Mr. Chairman, I think you said everything I would say. Only point I would make is there's still more opportunities for federal money to come here. We're working hard. There was some good news late fall, early winter from a group, Harvest Beam, that's got some FCC licenses. They're going to be deploying a pretty big 5G network in northern Craven County. That's going to be a big first step. It's expandable on down as far as we need to go. It's all about acquiring the licenses, and they have to bid on those from the federal government, which they did and won some. But I'm keeping track on that. There's obviously the fixed base wireless, which we've been working on for a long time. They're still interested in places like Harlow. The question is, when these folks go out, they do a test in the areas to determine how many people are going to sign up. Mm-hmm. They have to make sure there's enough revenue coming in to cover the expense, and that they don't have to charge what you noted. One of our big problems is a rate that's affordable by all. And they can scale it, obviously, based on what you need, but that base rate is going to be set on how many people sign up. So that's all I would add.
Commissioner Smith?
I know you probably said this before, but can you share with me what the difference is between a number one tier and two-tier county?
Yes, ma'am. So there's 3 tiers in North Carolina, and it's based on prosperity. A tier 1 would be the bottom 33 counties from a prosperity standpoint, tax base, looking at average income. There's a ton of factors to the department. I guess it's still in commerce. A tier 2 would be the average, and then a tier 3 would be the high wealth counties. And typically what you see in the tier 3s are your resort-based communities, beach, mountain, right, where they have a strong tax base of second homes and right, provide very little services to people. For instance, if someone owns a beach house, $1 million beach house, they use it 2 weeks a year and rent it the rest. They require no DSS, no health, no schools, no nothing. So that county has more wealth to put toward other things.
The only thing that I would like to add this morning before we adjourn is Commissioner Liner and myself have spent right much time in meetings with the airport authority. We both serve on the Commercial Development Committee. I missed another meeting this week because of a meeting that was called, and a lot of things going on, as you heard this morning. There is some items that are coming up that I think are going to require some time in consideration of this board. I don't know how the time frame is going to work, Mr. County Manager, but I think it's probably going to be something that needs to be discussed at a work session. I don't know if, we were talking about the acquisition of property this morning. As they said, there's one more piece that they would like to come to us about in acquiring. I don't know how soon that's going to come. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but I think for this board to really take in what Commissioner Liner and myself have spent many hours in trying to understand, y'all going to need more time other than just a presentation here in 30 minutes. I don't know if it's possible, but I just say if we can, it might be something we need to add to our work session. Again, it may be too soon, but I think we're going to, there's a lot of information out there and a lot of things to consider on this, from this board going forth, I think. So, all right, anything else to bring for the Board of Commissioners this morning? We've had a long meeting. I thank you all for your participation, and I hope you all have a great week. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Take that a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned.